Hey guys, Edward Myers here. You're here for or y- or you're here to watch the the second draft analysis and for the moment the only other league I'm in right now. The other league I'm in is in ADF, but we aren't here to talk about that. We are here to talk about my game room draft analysis, and there's a couple things I want to note here before I, I go into this draft analysis. One, it's for VGC and it's using the Series 8 rule sets. Two, well, I guess this would be three at this point. But three, um, we, we are allowed to three. Actually, I'm gonna say four things in a minute. Three, this is on Wi-Fi, and I have an awful phone. I have an I don't I don't use screen recorders for Wi-Fi because I don't have a capture card. Um, but thankfully, it's not an upload required league, so I can upload however I want. And four, we are allowed to draft Gigantamax Pokemon, so that's pretty cool. Um, with that in mind, we let's go ahead and get into my first pick. Oh, not my first pick overall. My I didn't have first overall. I think I had the wheel actually. But my first pick, what that I chose was Dusk Mane Necrozma. Now I wanted Solgaleo, but that got sniped from me like two picks before me. But it's okay because we had a backup in Duskmane Necrozma. Now, the thing I love about this Pokemon is the fact that you can run Prism. Well, you would have to run Prism Armor, obviously, because it's the only ability. But the thing I love about this Necrozma, is Prism Armor. Pokemon receives 3/4 the damage from super effective attacks, which meaning, which means that it makes it way easier to get a weakness policy to proc. And if you don't know what weakness policy does, if the Pokemon holds it, then any move that hits that hits the Pokemon super effectively, if it survives, and it probably will, because this thing is so bulky that then it'll get +2 in attack and special attack, and and since this thing is slow, is a great thing that this thing happens to get Trick Room. Now, I'm assuming you all know what Trick Room does, but if you don't, it basically makes it so any Pokemon that is slower than you, it becomes faster, and vice versa. Um, it, there and It can also boost its speed without Trick Room with Autotomize, and it's basically agility, except it makes you lighter. Um, I think that's pretty cool. Brick Break, it's basically Necrozma's only fighting move. And for Duskmane Necrozma's case, that's pretty decent. Um, you don't keep with the fusion Necrozmas. You don't keep any of Lunala or Solgaleo's moves except for Sunsteel Strike or in Donween's case, Moongeist Beam. So I think the fact that but Necrozma on its own still has a pretty wide move pool, consisting from the screens with reflect. Yeah, it does get reflect. And I just saw a light screen, so that's cool. It also gets moonlight, and I think that's a cool idea with recovery. I think it might be Necrozma's. I guess you can count rest. Um, Also, this thing gets Dragon Dance in Gen 8, and we are playing in Gen 8. So, that's another way to set up. This also gets Calm Mind if I want to run a special variant. It also gets Swords Dance if I want to stick to the Trick Room mode. Um, Knockoff, if I want to get rid of an item. Dark Pulse, again, if I want to go with a special variant. Photon Geyser is here. Basically, if I want to run a special variant, then it it'll turn into a special move. If I want it to be physical, then it'll be a physical move. It's basically depending on what's higher, its attack or its special attack. But this also gets Thunder Wave, and that's a cool way to paralyze someone if I want to run like a defensive Necrozma with Thunder Wave. So that could be pretty useful for speed control if I don't want to bring one of my later picks. Outrage, I don't really think we're going to use that in doubles. Rock Blast, Rock Polish, that's another way to boost my speed. Rock Polish and Agility are basically the same thing. No, they are the same thing, except they're different types of moves. It gets Psychic Fangs. That's a new move I got this generation. I don't know why Necrozma got Psychic Fangs. Like, where are its teeth? That's my question. But anyway, Psychic Fangs is a pretty cool move for it. Also, its special attack isn't bad either. Like, its attack is amazing. It's through the roof. It's 150. It's base 157. Also, I don't know why this is 0 IVs. If I could just there. But its special attack, it's not bad either. With base 113 alone is pretty cool. And if my opponent happens to have a lot of Intimidators, then I can go with a special Necrozma. So Necrozma overall, I think it's pretty cool. Future Sight, I don't know if I'm going to use that a lot, but I could definitely see myself using it. Gravity, I didn't know I got, but I think that's a really cool idea. At some point in the future, I don't think I'm going to use it here. Just because I didn't draft a Groudon, and it's the only thing I can think of that gets spread moves and or Precipice Blades, unless someone else wants to point that towards me. Fling, that could be a cool tech at some point. I'm not sure if it will be though. Future Sight, that's a good. But I already mentioned Future Sight, but if you don't know what it does, it's basically you go for a 1 turn and then it'll add on for some extra damage in the future. Hence the Future Sight name. Imprison with Trick Room could be really cool. Just to stop someone else from setting up Trick Room. Cosmic Power, that could be a cool idea for setup. There's also X-Scissor if I want the coverage for Psychic types. Meteor Beam is down here somewhere. I guess I could just type it in, but that could be some pretty cool rock coverage for a special variant. But overall, I think Duskmane Necrozma is a really cool idea for drafting, and I don't regret picking it, especially since Solgaleo got taken. But what can you do? I don't like the person who took it literally said that if it was still there, they just had, or since it was still there, they just had to take it. Like it was too good of a. I'm paraphrasing here, but it was too good of an opportunity to pass up. Anyway, on to our next pick, and that is, I want you to keep in mind, I said we are allowed to draft Gmax Pokemon, and I am capitalizing on that, and you'll see what I mean in the future, assuming you continue on with the video, but I'll just assume that you are. And the main reason I got this thing was because of Steam Engine, and you'll see what I mean in the future. Again, assuming you watch the rest of this video. But if you don't know, Steam Engine is the best ability Colossal could possibly have in VGC because of the fact that it gets its speed boosted by +6. That is insane. If it gets hit by a fire type move or a water type move. And then these other two moves, or these other two abilities, Flame Body. If your opponent makes contact, then they have a chance of getting burned. And then Flash Fire, making this Pokemon immune to the fire type moves. And I want to put these nicknames in here before I forget. Like I already forgot with Crobat and the NADF draft analysis. That Crobat's name is going to be Airacobra after the plane. I just figured I would mention that now, but the Necrozma's nickname is going to be Diamond Lion. It's just a pendant. I thought it was a pretty cool idea for a nickname. I couldn't come up with anything else. And it is going to be shiny. Yes, shiny Dusty Necrozma is legal. And then as for Colossal, oh crap, I forgot what I was going to nickname this thing. What was it? Was it? Vesuvius. That's what I was going to name it. After the volcano. But back to the fact that G-Max Colossal was amazing in doubles. But mainly I think I'm going to be using Steam Engine. But these other abilities are pretty. These could be pretty cool techs if I really want to bring them. Rock and Fire, it's probably not the best typing, but what are you gonna do? It's a Colossal. I drafted it. I'm the one who drafted it. I should be focusing on the fact that it's typing and what I'll get in the future, or what I did get in the future at the time. This thing's got some really cool moves. Meteor Beam, that's a pretty cool move. That the main thing I'm gonna probably use on this thing is either a weakness policy or a power. I'm just gonna back that up, or a power herb. And I already mentioned what the weakness policy does, but if you don't know what the power herb does, it basically turns a 2-turn move, like Meteor Beam, for example, into a 1-turn move, making it so that if I'm not Gigantamax most of the time, like I'm going to be most of the time, then I am going to be. Then I can click Meteor Beam, and I can not only raise my special attack during that turn, but I can also go for a huge special attacking rock type move, assuming it doesn't miss, which would suck. But I just voice cracked there. It would suck though. But I would fortunately still get the special attack move, or it's 90% accurate. It's 120 base power move, and it's also stab. So Meteor Beam on its own is pretty insane with the power. Or a Meteor Beam with the power herb is also pretty insane. And if I am Gigantamaxed, if I'm not mistaken, Max Meteor Beam from a Colossal Max Meteor Beam is a 150 base power move. So either way, Colossal is an insane sweeper. I don't know why my phone just screenshotted there, but it did. And I love it. Some coverages that this gets: Earth Power for other rock types, I suppose. Other rock types. It also gets Solar Beam, unfortunately, as its only grass move. But again, I'm gonna be Gigantamaxing this most of the time probably. So solar beam isn't that big of a deal. Plus I could still be running power beam or power herb, and I don't always have to run meteor beam. I can also run. I think this it does. It does get ancient power, and ancient or omni boosting isn't illegal in VGC Series 8. So that's a pretty cool thing worth mentioning. Body press, as it's a move that's based on your defense. So the more powerful my defense is, the more powerful my body press is going to get, and it doesn't really matter whether I'm bold or impish. So I think that's a pretty cool. That could be a pretty cool tech. Iron Head, that could be used to boost my defense, but I think this might get flash cannon. I'm not sure. It does not get flash cannon. But these are some pretty cool moves for Colossal. It also gets iron defense, so I can go put that along with my body press. So that could be a pretty cool idea. What else does this get? Overheat. It's kind of a risky move in my opinion, because of the fact that every time you use it, it lowers your special attack. It's kind of like Leaf Storm. It's basically the fire type version of Leaf Storm. Rapid Spin, I don't really see myself using that. I'm probably gonna boost my speed a lot anyways, and Rapid Spin's it's a cool move, and it got a buff this generation, but it's not at all useful in doubles. Unless you're worried about hazards for some reason. Spikes, that could be a cool tech for VGC. It's not illegal to bring hazards in VGC. Will-O-Wisp, that could be cool if I'm bringing defensive Colossal. Also, this thing is Scald apparently for some reason. I'm not sure why. But that's a cool move if I want to bring water type moves for whatever, or a water type move for whatever reason. Also, I want to emphasize on the fact that I don't just have to bring special Colossal. I can bring physical Colossal if I want to. So a rock slide Colossal, that could be cool. That could be a cool idea. If I want to bring a spread move or something. Rock Blast if I'm worried about a sash. Stone Edge, I don't know how often I'm going to bring that. Tar Shot, that's always a move I forget about, but it's Colossal's signature move. Target gets -1 speed and becomes weaker to fire. So if I'm bringing a Tar Shot Colossal, then I'm probably going to have a fire type move and a lot of fire type moves on my other Pokemon, like Heat Wave Necrozma, for example. But Colossal, it's pretty slow, but I don't think that's gonna be much of a problem with the fact that I can get +6 in my speed with Steam Engine. Plus, again, I can bring Trick Room Necrozma, so I don't think it's a bad idea. I don't think it was a bad idea to draft Colossal. This is not going to be shiny right away. I don't think. Yeah, it's not going to be shiny. I don't know. Maybe I'll change my mind. Our next Pokemon, and I was kind of paranoid about this because I didn't want someone else grabbing this before I did, especially since I originally drafted I originally drafted Gmax Charizard for some reason, and I was afraid that someone was going to grab Colossal before I did. So with me wanting to drop Charizard for Colossal after the draft in the middle of the grace period, I grabbed Primarina as soon as I possibly could after Charizard. And I think everybody knows, or everybody who plays VGC knows about this. And Aqua Jet Primarina with Gigantamax Colossal Aqua Jet yourself and get your steam engine boost, along with an assuming weakness policy. And my Primarina nickname is going to be Mermaid Man, after the superhero in SpongeBob. But I don't I couldn't come up with a better nickname for Primarina, to be honest. This doesn't even have to be an Aqua Jet setup. Maybe I won't even bring Colossal. Maybe I'll just bring Assault. This could probably be pretty good on its own, actually. This could be Assault Vest with and it could be or it could be Life Orb, actually. It could be Life Orb with Moonblast, Energy Ball, Psychics, or Hydro Pump and Hydro Cannon, just in case I end up Dynamaxing. Excuse me. And just look at this thing. This could also be used for Trick Room if I wanted to be. It's also a good. It's got that voice crack again. It's got that speed tier where it's not too slow. It's not too fast for Trick Room, but it's also not slow. It's not too slow to run a Choice Scarf Primarina. And that could also be pretty cool because I could run Flip Turn with my Primarina, and then I can Flip Turn into my Colossal, and then go into something else that you'll see later if you finish the video. So I think that's pretty awesome. Primarina just has so many different ways to get to proc Colossal's potential weakness policy, and it doesn't even. And again, I don't even have to run weakness policy. I don't even have to bring Colossal. I can bring Primarina all on its lonesome and just do some work with that. So that's my analysis on Primarina. I didn't actually know this, but it gets Magic Coat, so I think it's a pretty cool idea if I really want to run that. Its defense and HP are a little lackluster, but its special attack, and its special defense, those are awesome. And by lackluster, I mean mediocre. But Primarina, I think it's a really cool Pokemon, and I think this is my second time using this. Not in this league. This is my first time in this league, but I think it was in a league that I didn't upload. And I enjoyed it there too, and it wasn't in doubles, it wasn't singles, but I still enjoyed it, and I think I'm gonna enjoy using it here too. So I think Primarina is a really cool Pokemon, and I think I'm gonna move on to my next Pokemon before I say something else, the same thing again. And my next Pokemon is going to be Thundurus Incarnate, and this Pokemon's nickname is going to be Zeus, because I'm a sucker for mythology nicknames. And it just fits so perfectly, in my opinion. But let's not talk about the nickname all day, shall we? This gets two very useful abilities in Prankster and Defiant. Prankster, if you don't know what that does, it basically makes it so your status moves are a priority. Thunderwave, that becomes priority. Eerie Impulse, that becomes priority. Taunt, that's going to become priority, and so on with the rest of its priority moves. Only problem with it is the fact that it doesn't work on dark types for some reason. Except for, that was added in Gen 5. I just don't know why that it added in on the fact that it was broken. But this also gets Defiant. So that's pretty cool. Defiant Thundurus, it's used most of the time. I can think of a few times where I've seen Prankster Thundurus, but actually, I think they're both used pretty frequently. But I think that just goes to show that They're they are both very useful abilities, and this is a very useful Pokemon. Um, so agility, I don't know how often I'm going to use that. Defog, I don't think I'm going to use that very often. Grass Knot it's pretty cool coverage for ground types. If I want to run a special Thundurus with Prankster, or I can bluff Defiant. That's something my opponent has to keep in mind as well. I can run a bunch of status moves and Ring Defiant just to with their Intimidators just to bluff it. And that that could become very useful for facing my dark types that I'm assumingly faster than. Iron Tail, that's usually used to boost the Thundurus's defense. When it's G-maxing, or not G-maxing, when it's Dynamaxing. Foul Play, that's a cool move. Something pretty useful that I've come to notice is the fact that this thing likes to run Assault Vest. I'm honestly not sure what it's for, but I think it could be really useful for Thundurus if I want to run that. Some other items that are pretty useful on this thing. I like Life Orb. I like Expert Belt. I've kind of gotten into Safety Goggles Thundurus because whenever I use Thundurus, if I run into an Amoonguss, I always have trouble with it. So I bring Safety Goggles Thundurus for it. And I think it's been pretty useful in the few times I've used it, and the few times I run into Amoonguss since then. Some other worthwhile items I think are worth mentioning. The Ayapapa Berry, it kind of got a nerf this generation, where it doesn't recover as much HP as I think that's what the nerf was. There's also the fact that it can run Choice Band. Thundurus can be very good with all of these, except for maybe Specs. And there's also a Focus Sash. I think that's worth mentioning, just to get maybe more status moves off. I don't really think I'm gonna bring Focus Sash with Defiant unless I'm bringing like a Thunder Punch Thundurus. But that's my analysis on Zeus. There's also the fact that I could run Bulk Up if I want to. Lash Out, Substitute maybe. U-Turn, Weather Ball maybe. Brutal Swing could be used to activate Necrozma's weakness policy if I bring that. So I think that's a pretty cool idea. Brick Break as well for Colossal. If I'm bringing like a Trick Room Colossal. But I would probably just use Primarina most of the time. Obviously without the Steam Engine if I'm in Trick Room. On to my next Pokemon, and this is what I meant when I said I was capitalizing on my Gmax options, and I drafted Gmax Gengar, and this is my first time using Gmax Gengar. This is my first time using a lot of these Pokemon. I'm gonna be completely honest with you, except for Primarine and Thundurus, I've used those before, but Gengar overall, this is my second time using it. But Gmax Gengar, I want to talk about that. I just named this thing Smile with capitals just because I thought it was my best nickname for it. Gengar kind of got a nerf in Gen 7 when it lost Levitate, but let's be honest, Gmax Gengar with Levitate would be broken, and no one can convince me otherwise. Gengar alone was broken because of that ground immunity. It lost one of its weaknesses, but is due to that. But I still think Gengar on its own is a really cool Pokemon. And then G-Max Gengar. If you don't know what G-Max Gengar does, it traps people. It's basically you go for a G-Max Ghost move, and then they can't switch out unless they have a Shed Shell or they use a. My voice is shot again because I'm recording this at 2 a.m. Because actually I don't know if they had anything to do with it. Maybe it's just the fact that I'm talking so much. I'm not used to that. But if they get hit with that ghost move, they can't switch out unless they have a Shed Shell or they go for a switching move or like U-turn, for example. But that's one of the reasons I drafted Gengar. Another one being the fact that Max Ooze is so good on Gengar because of the fact that it just raises its special attack. And the fact that I have 3 other special attack, or not 3 others, or not necessarily 3 others, 4 other capable special attackers, I should say. The fact that I can run that with Max Ooze is insane to me. Like, I can go for a G-Max, or like a Max Sludge Bomb on my opponent and then raise my special attack, and then my Primarina or my Colossal or my Necrozma even can just knock it out with whatever they happen to go for. So I love the idea of that. Thunder or GMX Thunderbolt or Thunder, that could also be pretty cool. Like, imagine GMX Thunders, and then instead of the electric terrain. And apparently, Rising Voltage works with Pokemon who aren't touching the ground in electric terrain. So I love the idea of that. Dark Pulse, I could see myself using that with like an Imprison set. If I happen to be worried about an Imprison or not Imprison, I happen to be worried about a Dark Pulse Pokemon. That could also be used for Trick Room. Again, if I want to stop my opponent from using Trick Room. I don't really see myself using Curse. Clear Smog, I could see. Explosion, that could be a cool tech. Knockoff, Parasong. Imagine getting trapped. Imagine getting trapped, and then your opponent goes for Parasong with the exact same Pokemon. Obviously it would have a lot of pressure on it, but I think that could be a pretty cool idea. Also, something I want to mention, Primarina also gets Parasong, so that's another reason that I wanted to draft Gengar or G-Max Gengar. Like, Primarina, these 3 Pokemon synergize so well. Primarina synergizes so well with these 2 Pokemon. And I love it. I absolutely love this. Toxic, I don't know how often I'm going to use that. Shrek, I could see that. Taunt, I could definitely see myself using that. I watched the Power Rankings video, and when it got to me, it mentioned the fact that I don't have an ally switch Pokemon, when in fact I have not 1 in Gengar, but 2 in Necrozma. So, and apparently I could have been higher in the Power Rankings if PackMat knew that, but they didn't. So no worries. I just wanted to mention that because I thought it was pretty cool. On to my next Pokemon, because I don't want to sit here all night talking about Pokemon when I can be in bed. I probably should have done this earlier anyway. But on to the next Pokemon, being Noivern. And Noivern, I love this Pokemon. Singles, doubles, name it. I love this Pokemon in both singles and doubles. And for the main reason being, it's Frisk. This gets 3 very useful abilities, considering this is doubles. Frisk, if you don't know, it basically makes it so that when you switch in, you're immediately finding out what your opponent's item is. Infiltrator, it goes through screens, so if my opponent happens to bring like a Grimmsnarl or something, and they happen to set up screens, and I can bring Infiltrator and just go through that. It also goes for substitutes if someone happens to bring that. And then Telepathy. If you don't know what Telepathy does, it basically makes it so you don't get hit by whatever your Pokemon is happening to go for. So, I don't know. If I happen to bring like Sludge Wave Gengar, that's the best I can come up with at the moment. My Noivern will not get hit by that. And by the way, I always name it Noivern this, but I am naming my Noivern Subwoofer, and it is most definitely going to be shiny because I really do love shiny Noivern. I think it's amazing. Also, you know what else is amazing? Noivern's speed tier. It is a 123 base Pokemon. And the fact I usually don't get all that fast Pokemon, I don't usually get more than 3 Pokemon that are faster than 100. But so far, I have Thundurus, Gengar, and Noivern, who are all above a base 100. And as you'll see soon, I've actually gotten 5 Pokemon that were faster than that are faster than base 100, and I absolutely love that. I love the fact that I can go with a Trick Room mode or a very fast mode with like Tailwind or something. But that's my analysis on Noivern. Also, I keep saying that's my analysis, but then I continue to talk about that Pokemon. But this thing gets this with Boomburst and the fact that I have a G-Max Gengar. I love that idea. I love the idea of going for a Max Strike and then lowering my opponent's speed and then killing them with something else like any of these Pokemon. I love that idea. I really do. I also, but the fact that kind of gets neutered by the fact that this could also run Hurricane, like a Max Hurricane, and I can do the opposite. I will not lower my opponent's speed, but I shouldn't have said neutered. Neutralized, I guess. But the opposite would be me raising my own speed and not lowering my opponent's speed. But either way, I still love the idea. I love the idea of Boomburst Noivern with my G-Max Gengar. And I don't think anyone can fault me for that. Dark Pulse, if I want to lower my opponent's special defense. Again, with Moonlight, I can heal. I don't just have to use Roost to get my health back. I can also use Moonlight, especially if someone happens to bring a Sun team, or maybe I don't want to lose my Flying typing, for that turn anyway. But these are all pretty cool moves that I could definitely see myself. Well, I could see myself using most of these moves. Probably not Wild Charge, probably not Whirlwind, but it's a cool option to have that there. I can see myself using U-Turn. I could see myself using Taunt. I can definitely see myself using Switcheroo. Imagine my opponent. I didn't know this thing even got switcheroo. But imagine my opponent going for a really powerful G-Max option, and I happen to switcheroo my eject button onto the Pokemon. Imagine that. Imagine that. I just really like that idea personally. The only problem with that idea is the fact that if I get hit before that, then Noivern's going to switch out. That's basically the idea of the eject button. But on to the next Pokemon. In that next Pokemon, this is my first and only Intimidator. Unfortunately, but I grabbed Scrafty, and I don't regret it. It was this or Hitmontop, and I wanted a Dark type. It was this or Hitmontop, and it was a huge debate for me because I could either have the Dark type and give myself a Psychic immunity, which I felt I desperately needed, or I can go with Hitmontop and give myself access to Wyguard. So it was a tough decision, but in the end I chose Scrafty because of the Dark type, and honestly, I wasn't really worried about not having Wyguard because of the fact. Wait, I thought Necrozma did get Wyguard. Never mind. But still, I'm not all that worried about it. But I grabbed Scrafty because the Hitmontop and Scrafty basically do the same thing with Intimidate and Fake Out. Also, did I mention this thing? It's Fake Out. Also, I get some pretty cool other abilities. Shed Skin, if I'm worried about getting status, I can have that and just happen to just heal it away because I'm shedding my skin. And then Moxie, if I wanted to sweep it to this thing with like a Dragon Dance set, that could be pretty cool. Also, I can bring Shed Skin if I want to bring like a Rest Talk set, but personally, I don't really like using Rest Sleep Talk. It's just too annoying for me. I just get Rest too often, and then Intimidate. That's probably going to be the main thing I'm using. But they're all really cool abilities. Counter if I'm worried about getting hit physically, and I don't really have a lot of good counters to it. Knockoff, that's a cool idea if I want to knock my opponent's item off. Aside from the rusted sword and shield that a few people did actually draft, so I have to keep that in mind. Super Fang if I want to chip my opponent's HP down really quick. It gets Fate Tears if I want to run like a Trick Room set with Colossal. So far I really love this team, and I don't regret drafting any of these Pokemon, if I'm honest. Low Kick, that could be a pretty cool idea. I can see myself using Roar if I really want to. I can also see myself using Dragon Tail. But just to switch my opponents out, but I don't think it works on Pokemon that are Dynamax, so it's a little bit unfortunate, if I'm honest. What else does this get? It gets Acid Spray. That lower, imagine going for G-Max Dark Pulse, except it's by -2. It's a poison type moves, and it's way weaker. But I still like the idea of this beat up. That could be a cool idea. I don't really know what I would use it on, especially since I didn't draft a justified Pokemon, but it's there if I want to use it. So yeah, I think these are all pretty cool moves. Yeah, I think I'm done with this Pokemon, or done analyzing this Pokemon. And our next Pokemon is Lopunny. And I drafted this thing because I loved the idea of going for switcheroo with eject button. You know that thing I mentioned with Noivern where I would get, if it got hit, then it would switch out and I would lose the eject button. Well, that's where Klutz comes into play. And if you don't know what Klutz does, it's amazing for this Pokemon in this case, where if I'm running Klutz, then if I get hit, I am not going to get switched out, because Klutz basically makes it so you don't have an item at all, even though you could be holding one. And that could be very useful for something like eject button switcheroo, or I could also be running a flame orb or a toxic orb if I feel I really need to. Like if I don't have any other way to poison my opponent, then that's probably how I'm gonna try and do it. In the same case of burning my opponent, like I'm pretty sure that all of these Pokemon either get toxic or Will-O-Wisp, or both. But hey, there is options if I want to run them. Baton Pass, I'm allowed to use that because it's VGC Series 8. It also got U-Turn this generation, so I don't have to Baton Pass the Intimidate, or the Intimidate I would probably get. And it's not blocked by Taunt, so I would probably go for U-Turn over Baton Pass, unless I'm setting up or something. I don't even know if Lubin gets any setup moves. Heal Bell, that's pretty cool if I want to heal my own status. Healing Wish, if I feel like if one of my Pokemon gets down really low and then I feel I need to Healing Wish my opponent back up, or not my opponent, my own Pokemon. The only problem with Healing Wish is the sacrifice you have to make is that my Lopunny would die. Also, this is another Fake Out user. This is, I think it's my second Fake Out user? Yeah, it's my second Fake Out user. But I don't, for a low tier pick, I think this is probably the best thing I could have gotten. What else does it get? It gets Triple Axle, so that's pretty cool. It gets Thunder Wave. I didn't know that. I didn't know it got Thunder Wave, but again, that's another way to paralyze my opponent. And I absolutely love this Pokemon on this team. Like I don't have to necessarily run a Shadow Ball, G-Max, Gengar, and trap my opponent. And I could also make it so they switch out and lose their Dynamax option. Like eject button still works if my opponent does Dynamax, and that's a really cool option. Yeah, I love this idea. And with that in mind, I'm gonna go ahead and move on to my next Pokemon, being not Dugtrio, Cottony. Spoilers, I drafted Dugtrio, but I'll talk about that when we get there. And to me, this is basically a mini Whimsicott. If you don't know what Whimsicott does, it basically just Tailwinds. If I could type it in, it Tailwinds. It can go for Trick Room, unlike Cottony apparently. It can be a Sash Endeavor Pokemon. It can be an Encore Pokemon. It could be Substitute Leechy, but I don't really think I'm going to run that, to be honest. It gets knocked off. It gets Memento if I want my Pokemon. If I want another one of my Pokemon to set up. Also, I forgot to mention, Healing Wish got a buff this generation. So if my opponent, if my Pokemon aren't at full, or if all of my Pokemon are at full, then I won't die immediately. Or they'll basically get the Healing Wish when the game thinks it needs to. And by thinking it needs to, it basically means until it gets status or hit with some move. But I think that was a pretty cool buff. But back to Cottonee. This also gets switcheroo with Prankster, and again I can run a eject button. So I have so many different options to run a eject button. I can run Noivern, who's just fast and doesn't have to worry about dark types having, and Prankster. I can run Lopunny, who doesn't have to worry about getting hit as much. Obviously, it has to worry about getting hit, but it but it wouldn't have to worry about the fact that it would have to switch out if it did get hit. And then Cottonee, who just has Prankster in it, and it makes it a priority, so it does get that eject button off of itself and onto another Pokemon. So for a low tier pick, I think this was a really good one. Also, I am going to name these three. What was I going to name this one? I think I was going to name it Hoodlum. I'm not sure after Hoodlum Scrafty, but I'll probably get back to you on, or I'll probably remember later and then put it in the comments. But this is definitely what I was going to name it originally, but Hoodlum the Scrafty. I don't remember what I was going to name this Lopunny. What was it? Rabbit's Foot. That's what it was. After luck, and I don't have any really, so I guess maybe if I have a Rabbit's Foot, then I will. And then cash drop, as in people make a lot of cotton, and then they make a cash drop. I just stole this from someone else who posted it somewhere, Pokemon something and then my last two Pokemon being Dugtrio. Like I said, I drafted Dugtrio, and then something else that'll get to you later about if you don't already know what I drafted, or you didn't fast forward or whatever. If you're just completely new to this league and you have no idea what I drafted until now, you've had no idea what I drafted until now. But basically, I drafted this thing because of Arena Trap. Imagine also, I forgot to mention the G-Max trapping thing that doesn't work on ghost types, because it's basically a shadow tag, except it's a move. And then Arena Trap, same thing, except it doesn't work on flying types, because it's like the ground type version of shadow tag. Actually, not just flying types, anything that happens to be immune to ground. Flygon, Rotom, something else would levitate. And Gengar, or not Gengar. In the past, it could have been Gengar that wasn't trapped by Arena Trap, because it used to have levitate. But some other cool abilities this happens to have. It also gets Sandveil. I want to mention this again. We are allowed to run Sandveil because of the fact that this is Series 8. And if people are... And the other thing being Sandforce, where if I happen to be in sand, which I probably will be, because... Not probably, but if I happen to be in sand, or if I'm going up against a sand team, I don't remember if anyone drafted a sand team or not, but if I do go up against sand, then I can bring Sandforce Dugtrio and just go in with this thing, or not necessarily go in, because if my opponent drafted or Sandstream that they probably, or a Sand team that they probably drafted a Sand Rush user. But if those things are either gone or weakened because of Sucker Punch, then I can just go in with this thing again. If you don't know what Sand Force does in the sand, it basically just boosts my ground type moves, my steel type moves, and my rock type moves, like Earthquake, for example, or Rock Slide, or does this thing get Iron Head? No, it doesn't. Does it get any steel moves? I thought it did. I know Alolan Dugtrio gets Iron Head, so I just assumed this thing did as well. Excuse me, but I just had some hiccups. Shadow Claw, if I want to drop my opponent's defense, that can be pretty cool if I end up G-maxing this thing. I probably won't, but hey, I definitely could. Sludge Bomb, Sludge Wave, I guess that could be another case where I can make use of Telepathy Noivern. But mostly I'm probably just going to use this thing for Arena Trap and Earthquake shenanigans with Duskman Necrozma, because this is yet again another way to make sure that weakness policy gets procced on my Necrozma. And I really love that idea. Agility, I guess it could be useful if I want to boost my speed. Honestly, this doesn't get a lot of useful moves. But it also gets high horsepower. It's mainly useful moves are in this section, hence the usually useless moves and the usually useful moves. Aerial Ace, though, that could be cool for grass types. Also, I just noticed this thing gets Ally Switch, and I didn't actually know this thing got Ally Switch at the time. So, again, more damage control. The person who did the power rankings video said that I didn't have any Ally Switch Pokemon, when in fact I have Necrozma, I have Gengar, I have Dugtrio, so that is insane to me. But I don't know, maybe they didn't check for Ally Switches. Maybe they just assumed that they just didn't get Ally Switch, but they do, in fact. And I absolutely love the idea of myself having 3 Ally Switch Pokemon and my opponent being able to do absolutely nothing about it. And these other moves, I could see myself using Rock Tomb maybe, just to lower my opponent's speed. Other than that, maybe Thief, I don't know. Sunny Day, if I want to go for like a weather control move. Also, I forgot to mention, Cottonee does great work with weather control, or it can do great work with weather control, because it gets both Sunny Day and I believe it gets Rain Dance. It doesn't, but Thundurus does, so I guess that makes up for it. Just to make sure that my opponent isn't sweeping with me with their weather or something. I know one person drafted a Rain Tea, and I'm extremely scared of that. But on to my last Pokemon, and that is going to be Charjabug. And I named this thing, I don't remember what I named this thing. For now, I'll just assume it was Trio. Actually, no, I do remember. It was, where are my legs? Just to focus on the meme of Dugtrio having legs. But back to Charjabug, and this is my phone charger, because it does look like a phone charger, if you ask me. It's also going to be shiny, and I want this to be shiny too. This isn't going to be shiny. This isn't going to be shiny. I don't like shiny Scrafty at all. But back to Charjabug, like I said, and the main thing I drafted, the main reason I drafted this for is battery. Like, this is what I meant by I can flip turn it on my Colossal, and then I can go into my Charjabug and get that 1.3 times boost. And not only will I have a weakness policy boost, or an assuming weakness policy boost, I will also have my Charjabug here with that battery boost, and Colossal is going to hit insanely hard. And that's not just with Colossal, that's with all of my Pokemon. That all of these, maybe not all of them, but most of these Pokemon are capable of special attack moves. Necrozma, Colossal, Primarina, Thundurus, Gengar, Noivern, Cottonee, and so that's insane to me. Also, this is a backup for Electrowebs, and I think this might, yeah, it does get Eerie Impulse. So if I don't want to bring a Prankster Thundurus, that could also be useful. This could also be useful with Thunderwave. It could be useful for Sticky Webs, even if I want to bring that. I can bring Screens. I can bring Volt Switch for momentum. I can bring Iron Defense if I want to. I can bring Toxic. I can bring X-Scissor because its attack is higher than its special attack. I probably won't bring X-Scissor. If anything, I'll probably bring Skitter Smack. If you don't know what Skitter Smack does, it basically makes it so every time you use it, unless they have Clear Body or whatever special ability prevents you from lowering or getting your special attack lowered. Besides Clear Body, obviously, that'll basically lower their special attack. And I absolutely love that idea. Charge Beam, I don't know how often I'm going to use that. Electroweb, again, that's a pretty cool idea if I want to bring that. Rising Voltage, I probably won't bring that. String Shot, I can definitely see myself bringing String Shot, actually. If you don't know what String Shot does, it's basically a spread move that lowers your opponent's speed by 2. And I guess I could maybe see myself bringing that, to be honest. Like, if I don't really have any other good ways of lowering my opponent's speed, then String Shot is how I can do it. So this is my draft analysis on my game room team, and I don't regret drafting any of these Pokemon. I got top 7 in power rankings, but I still don't regret drafting any of them, and I'm hoping to keep saying that to the end of the season. And that has been my game room team, and I'm gonna go to bed now because it's 3 a.m. Goodbye.